Fantastic. Well,
I have all kinds of
who
stuff.
do I have with me here today?
Hey, Don, Britt Olson.
Britt Olson. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I want to thank Co-House for letting me use this room. Britt Olson, I really appreciate. We've met a couple times, and I understand you're here in Lakeland. Where are you originally from?
Yeah, great question. So I grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, over on the East Coast. I came to Florida for college over in St. Augustine, Flagler, little liberal arts school. My goal was to stay by the coast for college, and I wanted to go to California. My parents convinced me to let's do Florida, stay a little closer to home for your first year. That trick always works. Sure enough, fell in love with it. I stayed. And then I have moved in and out of Florida a couple times. I graduated college in 2012. And what's funny is every time I leave Florida, I always end up moving back after a few years. So I should
All on your back.
probably stop leaving. Not that I really leave by choice, it's opportunities that come up. But I moved here to Lakeland though last October of 2025. Given some different life transitions as a family. We were up outside of Atlanta for a few years, previously in Tampa St. Pete area before that. And people ask what brought me to Lakeland, and the honest answer is God.
That's
Following
wonderful.
the breadcrumbs, people are like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I don't know, but we were led here. And yeah, I absolutely love it.
You're married, have a family?
I have, yes, two young children, a 4-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. I'm very familiar with Polk County. I've kind of worked in and out of it a few years, about 10 years ago. So I'm very familiar with the area. And yeah, I love it. Just Lakeland's such a great family town, especially for us as a young family. There's just so much to do. They go to a little Montessori preschool here. And I just feel so complete and at home. And it's been so welcoming as well, being an entrepreneur, small business owner. It's been a really wonderful last year.
I found the same thing with Lakeland. A funny story, a real quick funny story is my wife is from Plant City.
Okay.
And we started dating. We were together for like 2 or 3 years, and we decided we wanted to buy a house. And for 6 months in Plant City, we looked for a house. I couldn't find one. And that whole 6 months, she says, let's go look at Lakeland. Let's go try Lakeland. I was like, no, I don't want to go to Lakeland.
Yeah.
Because it was my service area. It was out of my way. And I was like, because I had to go here once a month to work on restaurants and stuff. For 6 months, I said no. Okay. Finally, I gave in. 2 houses we put bids in fell through. And the day I said, let's go to Lakeland, I'll try it. We came driving right down Memorial Boulevard, made a left at Lake Parker, went down the very first street, and there was a sign that says, for sale by owner. We walked in there, talked to the guy, he lets it, and we bought it right on the spot. I went over to Office Depot and bought one of those blank sheets. We filled it out right. I couldn't believe it. That's how Lakeland, and I feel the same way about Lakeland. Ever since then, it's just been so comfortable growing.
100%. What's interesting about Lakeland, and we can kind of get into a little bit of my background, but I actually lived in Lakeland for about 8 months back in 2013, right after I graduated college. I was 23 years old, working for, at the time, the USA Water Ski, the governing body of towed water sports from the U.S. Olympic Committee, was based in Polk City. And I got hired as one of the youngest competition directors over there.
You're an athlete? You water skating, slalom, and all that?
I love recreationally.
Okay.
Not professionally.
Okay.
I'm actually my favorite sport is surfing. Ocean surfing is what I grew up doing. So big passion for being on the water, having fun, and I love sports. I was a sport management major. In college. Love event management, marketing, everything like that. So that was my first official job. I had different kind of freelance things actually back in the day doing different surfing tournaments. And that was my first official job out of college. But I wasn't here for long. Nothing against Lakeland, but at the time I was young. All I wanted to do was party, highly ambitious. The job, nothing against the organization, was just a little different than
I think a lot of us go through the same
paper.
season.
Totally. It's such a normal progression, I think. And then through different internships I had in college, I got a call from a marketing, a nationally known media marketing company up in Manhattan, having a job position available that I had wanted before. They did own a women's tennis tournament, was the connection. I interned with the tennis tournament, found relation with the corporate marketing events department.
Wow.
And
That
then
sounds
it's
like a
funny
dream
how
job.
things work. It was a dream job. I moved to New York, couple
Oh,
suitcases.
you actually moved?
I actually ended up, moving to New York. So I left Lakeland for New York City.
That's a jump.
It is very much so. Yeah. But like, eyes to the stars.
That's when you're most ambitious and you're ready for anything.
Ready for anything. And it was the best experience of my life. It taught me so much about myself. I mean, it unraveled me. It brought me back to New York is just, it's a beast, but I really think like in your 20s, such a great place to live. But also what I witnessed in the corporate workplace was all these women and men too, but a lot of women who were just burnout and their goal, it was easier to be at work than to be at home. And I came to New York, like I'm going to be chief marketing officer of this company one day. Like that was my goal. It was like, okay, here we go. Work is the number one priority. I unfortunately learned growing up unhealthy patterns that the more I achieved and the more I did, the more my parents loved me and approved of me. So there was a little bit of unhealthy, always an ambitious person, and then a little bit of some unhealthy direction moved in there, but also not really bad thing because I feel like it's just what shapes and molds us overall.
Of course. It's all part of life.
All part of life, exactly.
Especially when you're developing.
Totally. But yeah, I got in there and I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And that's where
After how long?
After a few years. And I traveled a lot, traveled all over,
That's what I wish I could have done.
Yeah, it was great.
Man, that's
really big, high level, C-level, VIP executive events, celebrity events, a whole day.
Private planes.
Yep. Yeah, experience things that just incredible things. And the best part about it was I was like, this isn't for me. This isn't for me. And I was managing $1 million to $500,000 corporate VIP events. And as someone who's always had this calling for helping people and really creating experiences and things, I had this question in my head of like, couldn't we use this money elsewhere? And always wanted to work in the nonprofit industry. So these little light bulbs kind of kept going off in my head where it was like, this is great. I love it. Thought this is what I wanted. It's not what I want. Nothing against it. I was like, I want to be the one raising my children.
That's growing. That's naturally growing.
Exactly. Totally. Yeah. So I left New York, came back to Florida. I was in Tampa, St. Pete area. And that is where my background went into more of the nonprofit sector. Nonprofit sector with still business marketing, kind of like going back and forth between the two. But a lot of what I did was.
You weren't seeking that profit like you were up there?
No. Yeah, it changed.
Yeah.
And then worked with professional athletes managing their private foundations. So NFL players, PGA players, PGA golfers, not players, managing their private athlete foundations, nonprofit strategy with underneath one company. And then I also was having entrepreneurial spirit. So I ended up going out on my own. After a couple years, started my first marketing nonprofit strategy company over in the Tampa Bay area. Absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. It was really beautiful. It was great working for a purpose in terms of these athletes who had extra money that they wanted to do good in the community or good for a select group of individuals or whatever that was very purposeful. But then also another leg of my company was helping small businesses share their story and get their message out there and that whole strategy side. And it was just so purposeful. And I absolutely loved it. And then COVID happened and everybody's marketing budget disappeared.
That's right.
In-person events disappeared, marketing budgets disappeared, and it was again a life pivot. I'm quick to pivot. I'm very adventurous and just open for trying new things. And then I was curious at the time because um, he was my boyfriend at the time, husband of my 2 kids. He was going through some health troubles and from the autoimmune and chronic illness side. At the same time that I had taken a deep interest in nutrition and understanding my own health, I was dealing with a lot of digestive issues, hormonal issues, things that I was in my late 20s then, things that really shouldn't be going on. And then he ended up in the hospital. It was crazy. I was actually in Bali. I was working for a client for an event in Japan at the time, and then took a 2-week trip to Bali on my own to go travel when I got a call from him back here. He was in neuro ICU unexpectedly, and it was a get on a plane, come back.
Everything stopped.
Everything stopped and changed. So we were on this health journey with him. Then COVID happened. My business pretty much drained out. And I was like, I think I want to do nutrition coaching and health and wellness coaching. And again, that purpose, that underlying purpose of wanting to help people, that suddenly shifted in this new passion. And thanks to COVID, we were hanging out. So I got a nutrition coaching certification. Ended up being an integrative health coaching, actually. So that way we look at the body, nutrition, what we're putting into it, but also understanding the mind, the nervous system, just all facets of health, relational health, even, financial health, like all the different pockets that really make us us. So I pivoted that way, and it is really where I am today. Except my coaching business has kind of shifted a little bit since I became a mom. And I primarily focus now on emotional and mental health, because what I really learned through my own journey and through working with clients and everything, nutrition and food and what we put in our body is medicine all the way. And we have something called the nervous system, which is the central command center of the body, which is what processes our stress and how we're handling our stress. And one of the root triggers of disease in the body is inflammation, and inflammation is triggered by stress. So was working with individuals understanding food intolerances and what types of foods can you eat, what works for your body, what's not working for your body, and seeing radical changes. But it wasn't until I started on my own journey of managing emotional health, mental health I went through a pretty dark postpartum time when I had children. And suddenly, as I healed myself, nervous system, mental and emotional health, I realized my dairy intolerance, I could suddenly tolerate dairy. So then I started looking at things differently. And it was like, oh, yes, food is so important, but also if the body is not in a place to be able to handle what we're putting into it, because we're in these chronic states of fight or flight or burnout, everything is interconnected. So that's kind of the long-winded way of my journey, where I am, how I ended up.
So you started a company of your own, and it's called what?
It's just my name, Britt Olson, LLC.
Britt Olson, LLC.
Yeah.
And so you coach just women or men or?
Primarily just women. My work goes over to men as well. However, I found that what's interesting about that, so having a marketing background, you're taught, you learn, you want to know who's your audience, who are you speaking to, right? Well, for me, I was always like, well, my work works for everyone, which is true. So I was speaking,
nervous system.
Exactly. So I was speaking to everyone, running a profitable, successful coaching business. However, my business didn't start taking off until I got brave enough to really niche down with my messaging, which my ideal audience really is women in their 30s, 40s, mothers. Like I basically kind of started talking to one audience. And that is where my business really took off. But what's interesting about that is while I'm talking to one audience, I'm still getting clients from every phase of life.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, so primarily women, but I will work with men as well. Because
And
box.
typically, how does a person approach you? How do they typically reach out? Is it word of mouth? Is it advertising?
Yeah, so you can find me mostly online. I'm actually working on my local and more community presence here in Lakeland, which I'm really excited about. But online, you can find me on my website, thebrittolson.com. And then my Instagram handle also follows that, the Britt Olson on Instagram.
And that's TheBrittolsen.
Owen.
Owen.
Yeah.
Olson.
Yeah, thank you for asking that, because a lot of people spell Olson with an E.
Yeah, that's the first came to mind. Yeah, the one thing that I do know is that the corporations,
Mm-hmm.
they take the nutrients out of our food. And it just drives me crazy that, you go and you get your blood test and you find out you're low on this, you're low on this, and it affects you and it creates that inflammation. I have chronic inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get out anymore. I don't exercise. I don't get to see the sun very much. I got back problems.
Yeah.
And now with all the nutrient deficiencies, you gain weight, you get lazy. Sometimes I'm sure I get irritable. I don't think straight. So it affects absolutely everything.
Everything. And it's so interesting with our food in our modern day is all these artificial ingredients. The body doesn't know how to read that. So that's the biggest thing is the body hasn't changed. We haven't changed from the way that the physical human body was once created. The only thing that's changed is the world around us. So the body is trying to protect us. Like even with disease and inflammation and things that pop up within the body, it's still the body's way of trying to protect us from completely going downhill. So it's really tricky from a health standpoint because people can end up hating their body because they're like, what's wrong with me? So a mindset thing I like to do is really look at it from the fact of like, we have number one, all of us are all bio individuals. So we all have our own individual makeups within us, which is why something that works for you.
Yeah, a Tom's works for me and it doesn't work for my wife.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect example. And because of our artificial modern world technology, lack of sunlight, lack of movement, everything like that, it's like the body's always here to protect us and to support us and wants us to live. The body is just coming up with these different protective barriers as a way to continue sustaining us.
It's doing the best it can with what it's given.
Exactly.
And if you're not giving it, it ain't gonna do crap.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, aspirin, Bayer aspirin works great on my headaches, but ibuprofen works great on my wife. And ibuprofen don't work on me, and she doesn't like the aspirin. So I know each one of us are individually different. We're all deficient in different things.
Totally.
We're never the same. There's no two the same. No two the same.
No, it's really kind of fascinating when you think about how different we all are, and then at the same time, how similar we all are, right? It's like nothing's completely black and white ever. And then I look at our stress responses and like our chronic fight or flight that we're constantly in comparison to our rest and digest, which again is another just dysfunction of our society and what's happening within the body. So that's why a lot of the things that I've now become so intrigued with is the way that like we don't even realize it, but our body is running in such a high stress response majority of the time because of technology, lack of sunlight.
How can you recognize that?
Ingredients.
How would I recognize that? Because I'm stimulated by videos. I'm a social media lover and all that.
Totally.
But then physically, I'm nothing. I can't do much. I lay in.
Yep.
I'm on the heating pad, and so how would you recognize that my body or my mind is?
Yeah, that's a great question. Especially because you're like, well, I'm not physically.
Yeah, I don't know it.
Moving my body. It's just the mind. So a perfect example would be, if you want, we can even do it right now.
Sure.
But if you will close down your eyes, put your feet flat on the floor, and go ahead and take an inhale in through your nose. And then out through your mouth like you're blowing out a candle. And now, what is feel a subtle shift?
I don't know if it's cheating,
Mm-hmm.
but I meditate regularly.
Okay.
I am a
Perfect.
meditator,
Beautiful.
and I don't do the deep breaths,
Mm-hmm.
but I do rest my mind on a regular basis.
Beautiful. So you're ahead of most of the population. So what you noticed, and encourage everybody watching and listening, as long as you're not driving and are in a safe place to
Okay,
do so, of
sure.
course, to close your eyes and take a deep breath, is you notice a shift where we go from we're here talking, which is a healthy form of connection, of course. We have lights, we're in an office space, like it is a little bit stimulating to the mind.
These things behind me, when I look at guests, it's like, oh
Yeah,
my
it makes
goodness,
your
oh
eyes do a
yeah.
little. Yeah, so that's activating a stress response. So when you then close down and breathe and you're like, oh, what is that I'm feeling? I feel myself slow down. I feel even a little bit better than I did right now. And here's the thing too, if it's unnatural for you to do that, that also can feel uneasy, right? Doing anything different is normal for it to feel weird. But over time, you'll notice your heart rate lowers, the tension in your jaw releases, tension behind your eyebrows. And what's happening is you're coming back into that parasympathetic state, that rest and digest state. Because our technology, videos, social media, computers, driving a car, if you will, being in a restaurant, cafe environment, workplace environment where there's a lot going on, is still activating a stress response in the body
That makes
because
sense.
you have to be on. So I love that you asked that because you typically think, oh, well, physical movement would be activating that. But we get it just from being sedentary. And that's where I love the fact that you do meditate because really everything is all about balance, right? You can think of a pendulum. We swing to one side of the pendulum,
Absolutely.
swings to the other side, and then it needs to come back. So really, all that this is just reminding ourselves that all we want to do is just bring ourselves back into equilibrium. And then from a health standpoint, our body can better digest our food. The liver is in a better place to actually filter out all the toxins that it's supposed to, right? It's impossible to live completely toxin free. I mean, that creates a stress response, right? Because then you're stressing about what not to eat or what not to expose yourself to. So
there's a reaction for everything.
Totally, absolutely. So we're also in this weird phase of life too, where we can be doing something that's marketed as good for ourselves, but are we doing it from a place that feels good for ourselves? Or is it actually causing us more stress because now we're worried about all these check boxes and all these things? And again, as we're having this conversation, right? Like that's not to overwhelm someone. You can kind of feel like, oh my goodness, what do I do?
One of the things I've learned over the years through my meditation, because I'm a long time meditator,
Yeah.
is that you need to be in the here and the now.
Mm-hmm.
If you find yourself thinking about, I got to make this payment, or where am I going to get the money? Where am I going to get rent?
Yeah.
You're living in the future.
Totally.
If you've been hurt in the past and all you can do is think is why, and I can't figure out why, you're living in the past.
Yeah.
You can't live in the future. You can't live in the past. If you live in the here and now, it takes the stress away.
Absolutely.
It makes you feel so much better. And that's what I see, particularly in our society. American is always go to work, get your job, rat race, make money. People rarely take the time to live in the here and now until there's an issue that they can't get away from. So I found myself thinking, you know what? I'm not going to worry about the past. I'm going to forgive whatever I done, forgive what people did to me, move on. And the future, I'm not going to worry about, yes, my kid's out late. I got to worry. I have to worry. But just trust in God, give it to God. And that brings me right back to the here and now, living in the moment. I have found works for me.
Totally. And that like is recognizing what am I actually in control of? And what am I allowing to also control me and to run rampant in my mind? And is that the point of life? Like I say, my mission is really restoring us as humans, individuals, men and women, back to who we were originally designed to be, who God designed us to be, before the world told us who to be. Because we're constant, and it's a rat race. And I have this philosophy that I love doing workshops and trainings with corporations in particular that I call slow down to speed up. Because really, when we slow down and come back into the here and now, we stop worrying about tomorrow, we stop worrying about yesterday, what we haven't done, what's happening, and we just focus here, we recharge ourselves. Our body naturally, we replenish ourselves. And then our creativity heightens, our productivity heightens later. Like basically, you're just refilling that battery. So then you can get back to doing the thing that you want to do because we're all amazing, whether we have
I agree.
ideas or stories or relationships, like however you're giving yourself and living this life, let's do it from a full battery. Let's not keep operating at 20% or even at, you think of it as a car. Like it's the most easiest way. Your car will eventually run out of gas. And the car is struggling as it's running out of gas. It's just
and this creates more health problems.
Totally.
I recently heard something that's very interesting, and I've been thinking about it, and so far I can't find the holes in it because it seems like it's right. That slowing down and meditating is listening to God, and prayer is speaking to God. And so if you're always just praying, telling God what you want, I want this, I want this, I want this, yeah, He hears you. You can't be separate from God. But if you get in the here and the now and you clear your mind and you get healthier, you hear God. You hear. That's what meditation is. Hearing God's telling you what to do. You're just tuned out.
Exactly.
Tune back in. Just like on your radio. Tune back in.
Totally. Just like us. If I'm sitting here talking the entire time, how am I ever going to be able to hear you? Like, what do you have to say?
Mm-hmm.
What does he have to say? And even, our intuition and our gut instinct that God gave us and that I believe, God talks to us through. Like we have to be able to hear that. And on that same note, I love that you meditate. And I know for a lot of people, the word meditation feels very scary. It's like, oh, I can't quiet my mind.
I don't.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
You can't quiet your mind because you're not meditating enough. And also, if meditating is scary for some people, which it very much can be, I love also to the exact explanation what you just gave is also you can meditate through journaling. So maybe it is too much to turn your mind off, to when you're praying, to stop praying and be able to give yourself space to actually listen. So also another form of meditation that I like to recommend to people is just journaling. Stream of conscious journaling.
Are you a lefty?
I am a lefty. Yes, I write left-handed, but I actually I play tennis right-handed. I eat right-handed, but yes, I'm a lefty.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So yeah, for anybody listening who's thinking, well, I can't meditate, I would encourage you to keep trying to meditate. Don't stop meditating, right? Anybody who says meditation is not for me, you need meditation. And also, I understand where you are. You could be in just such a chronic state of overthinking or flight or whatever have you that feels scary. Because also, when we're not used to resting and pausing and listening, it feels so uncomfortable.
See, I can only imagine that.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that. Yeah. I have a brother in California, 2 years younger than me. He chose a completely different route in life. And I went visiting, I don't know, it's been 10, 15 years ago now, I haven't seen him. And I was sitting on his back porch, and I said, Jason, could you close your eyes and not do anything, not say anything for 5 minutes? He goes, no. Mm-hmm. I said, 2 minutes? He said, no. I said, I'll pay you if you just sit here and close your eyes. He couldn't do it. His mind, his whole life has been going, his whole life, and it's never stopped.
I hear that all the time. To that same example, people who you go on vacation, but did you actually enjoy your vacation? I couldn't slow down on my vacation. I booked myself a massage and I was just thinking about my inbox and tomorrow's meeting and whatever have you during this. It's like I can't slow down. And that's a real problem.
In our society.
It's a
Yeah.
real problem. And then we get praised for all the things that we're doing, all the things we've achieved. But how much have we forgotten who we are? And yes, they're great character traits. And I feel that, we've been appointed, God has appointed us to certain things and given us certain God given gifts and talents and everything like that. But at what same time is the rat race in this modern world taking that and twisting it and kind of using it against us?
Yeah. You get a dopamine, I guess
Yeah.
what is called dopamine. You get a, oh, I got this job. The boss said did a great job. You get a dopamine,
Yeah.
but you don't get dopamine from what you actually are doing for yourself.
Yeah. Totally.
I agree.
Totally. One of my most favorite questions actually is slowing down and just asking yourself, what do I need most right now? And people, it's incredible what comes up. And I think some people get pretty emotional just by that same question because we're not asking that.
Wow. No. Personally,
Yeah.
just personally, I couldn't be happier unless I didn't have any debt.
Yeah.
I'm the happiest person on earth.
Yeah.
I don't care about, I know I got plenty for the debt to take care of if I needed to, I wanted to. But that's the only thing. I'm in the here and now.
Yeah.
I'm being protected. God's giving me the answers to everything. If you're focused in it and you know it, you know it.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be afraid of.
Absolutely.
It's fantastic.
It really is. Yeah. And it's a concept that's why the work that I do, I'm so passionate about it because it also can be difficult until you get a taste of it and you understand how that feels for you. And then it's the other side of it where you're like, this is
Yeah. Well, it's 35 years of growing and meditating. It's
totally.
You can't replace time experience. You can't just be a 35-year meditator like this.
No.
It takes time and growth and effort, development. It takes all of that.
Yeah. Consistency and a willingness to really care for yourself.
You gotta want it. Yeah.
Respect yourself. Yeah. Want it for you. Or, and if you can't want it for you, because some people do struggle with that, wanting it for your children or wanting it for those in closest relationship with you, whether that is, a marital partner, like your wife or parents or siblings or whatever that is, because sometimes it is hard for people to access that.
Well, the word want means you're thinking in the future. You're not in the here. The word want, I want, you have to not want as well. Because I don't want anything. When you learn to not want anything, you get everything.
Yeah.
It's ironic. It's weird, and I learned it the hard way. But when you don't want it, you get everything. Isn't it in the Bible? It's in the Bible too.
So. Yeah, yeah, and it's and it's the gratitude and grateful,
appreciation,
Thanksgiving, appreciation for all that I already have because we already have so much more than our mind.
Yeah, you look at the TV and they're getting their house redone. Oh, I want my house redone like that. Yeah, that's part of the problem.
Yeah, yeah. And who really wants your house redone like that? Do you want it redone like that? Does your mom want you to redo it like that? Do your neighbors want you to? Do your friends? Like, that's like, another piece of what I love to look at is like the underlying story and the belief and like asking yourself, is this mine? And that real coming back to that true sense of self.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you said there was another leg of something that you might want to mention. Do you recall?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So what's interesting is, as I was kind of circles back to how we started our conversation, where I've always kind of had multiple legs of myself. Been someone who grew up on the beach. I love the ocean. Like, that is, being in the ocean is my place. And then I also love working and being in a career and like working with people and having a professional era, if you will. And it's like, no, those are intrinsic parts of me. So within my business, I recently discovered this other leg to my business. And I'm like, well, of course there would be another leg because it really resembles who I am. So I have my coaching side, and then I have my strategic marketing background side. So what I have recently opened up is a content messaging consulting leg of my business, which is really nothing completely new because marketing is my background. But what this piece is, because what I discovered over the summer is how to really, so everybody, we're kind of going to flip the conversation here on social media. So the best way to tell our story, get a message out, inspire people, help people, get ears and eyes on what we're doing is through the online world. And I'm so grateful for that and the community and the connections. And again, healthy use of the online world. However, there's also so much red tape that we fall into.
Propaganda.
Algorithms, propaganda, ads, all these things. And it doesn't mean that you don't have a good message to share. You're just having trouble getting it into the right eyeballs. So what I discovered over the summer is how to do that for myself. And I've come up with this very specific content messaging methodology, if you will, how to find that ideal person. Who were you speaking to? What is it that your heart wants you to speak to? And how to get that out to the masses. So I actually have grown my Instagram account from 1,500 followers to over 20,000 followers in less than 8 weeks. I have had posts that have hit millions of views, thousands of shares. I was just looking at one that had 3,000 shares, which I was like, my message and my philosophy went into the inbox of 3,000 people. Like, think about that for a second. And I believe in what I'm sharing because it's rooted in love and it's rooted in bringing ourselves back together, bringing relationships back together, bringing people back together. Again, bringing us back to really who God designed us to be. And I've been working on this. Again, I have a marketing background. Was so stifled by our online world. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to figure this out. And I stopped following the trends, posting every day, doing what everybody was telling me was going to work. And I brought it back to myself and I figured out how to speak to the right person. And then in exchange, though, so many other people were relating to what I was sharing. So it's this very interesting piece. So I realized that I was like, wait, I teach this to people. And I had people ask me about this. And I was like, yeah, I did create this. And what are you doing with it? And I was like, I need to share this, of course. And it's not completely out of left field because this is something that, again, is an innate part of me. So
it's a message that people need anyway.
Absolutely.
They're going to find a way to get it. How are you going to get it to them?
Totally. Yeah. So people have, one of the things that I'm doing is where I'd really like to help the Lakeland local community is I'm going to be hosting a workshop on this specific topic here at Cohatch in a couple weeks at the end of September, doing it a lunch and learn style. Lunch will be provided. Come in and basically I'm going to give you my exact framework that I use to go gain 20,000 followers in 8 weeks and really get in there and simplify and exemplify your messaging and your story and what it is that you want to share with the world. And let's get that to the right eyeballs and to the right people and create that community and connection. Because what has happened is the amount of people that have reached in the conversations that we've had and these community relationships, it has just also really brought me back to it where I'm like, this is what social media is about. This is what the online world is about. And this is what we need more
It
of.
doesn't have to be commercialized.
Absolutely not. You don't have to follow the trends and use all these things.
So you created this additional following not by studying the algorithm, but providing true information,
Yes.
if you will.